Welcome to another edition of the Boundary Breakers Collective. And today I welcome Brigitte Bojkowszky, a brand identity strategist and business educator. Brigitte's focus lies in empowering corporations and entrepreneurs worldwide to craft and refine distinctive brand identities, cultivate cultures rooted in shared values, and deliver exceptional client experiences, guiding them toward their brand radiant future so that they can attract the recognition they truly deserve. Additionally, Brigitte specializes in leadership branding, bolstering the presence of executives, ensuring their impact is felt with crystal clarity and unwavering confidence, navigating the complexity of the modern business landscape with ease and grace. And ease and grace is something we can use today with this interview. Brigitte, welcome. We had some technical glitches and it was like a testing of our ease and grace, right?
Exactly. So thank you so much, Helena, for having me here today, being your guest, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Wonderful. So here we are, and I'm so happy that we could make it finally. And
Yeah.
this is a beautiful example of how things can be like so difficult sometimes for all the wrong reasons and for very small coincidences and glitches and whatever. And I love this episode to be one in honor of persistence, trust, and faith that everything runs the way the universe is organizing it for us to run. I'm so happy to have you here, Brigitte. And I will start with the first question I ask everybody. Why is it that you consider yourself a boundary breaker?
Oh, that is a very beautiful question. And I've been asking this myself all of my life, actually. And bottom line is quintessence of that is I am a boundary breaker because I reject being put into a box.
Mm,
Yeah, being put into a box by conventional expectations, what other people want from me, uh, what other people think I have to be, all the societal norms. And because of that I didn't want to be put into a box, I have had a very unconventional journey till now.
mm,
I went through different stages in my life, different seasons, different chapters, however you want to call that, from a flight attendant to a student to a corporate leader to a professor to an entrepreneur. And this was not a straight line. I was going back and forth. There are certain things that you need to go through, certain transitions. It's also about shedding identities, going into the unknown, putting yourself out there, going into nothingness, actually, because you
mm,
don't know what's coming. And you need to trust that this is your path. You need to listen to your inner wisdom, to your intuition. You need to stick to that. You need to own that, even though
mm,
other people tell you something else, other people judge you for doing that. But I always had this strong inner feeling, voice, wisdom, whatever, however, whatever you want to call it. But it always guided me, and it guided
mm,
me to where I am at now. So
mm,
going beyond this conventional roles, right? Carving out your own path, that also made me to inspire others. And it also showed me where my friends are and where not. It was just an interesting journey, but also a hard journey. There is a lot of fear involved. There is a lot of doubt involved. A lot of questioning my personality. Yeah, and a lot of failing, rejections, detours, however you want to call that. But it's an interesting journey, and I would not want to change it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you say. The thing is that we are from the moment we are born, we are put into a system. Girls behave like that, boys behave like that. But even when they're born, girls wear pink, I think, and boys wear blue or things like that. Or girls get the dolls to play with, and boys get there's some there's some change in that, but very little. And then we're supposed to study, we're supposed to work, we're supposed to do nothing anymore once we're 65. This is a very linear system. So I love it when you say I was a flight attendant and then I was a student. And then because already there you're like disruptive because you don't follow the stages as they are told us that we have to do it. And when we don't, it's very dangerous. We might jeopardize our future, or nobody will trust us if we don't first have this degree or diploma, etc. And there's
Yeah,
so much imposed on us. And like you say, we start live in fear because we are constantly told that we are not living upon expectations or upon how we are supposed to be or what we are supposed to do. And since we need this belonging feeling as humans, so we're constantly in that conflict. So it takes a lot of courage and inner power, like you say, and access to your strengths and wisdom in order to do that and in order to keep doing that, even if it fails sometimes. Yeah. So
absolutely.
kudos to you.
And I was always a very curious person. I was always questioning status quo. Always. When I was a little
Mm.
child, when I was a teenager, I was questioning why I'm supposed to play small. I'm coming from an environment where everyone played small. We are not good
Mm.
enough, and they know what to do, and we have to listen and don't raise your voice and don't ask too many questions. And I didn't understand. I was like,
Mm.
why? I was always asking why. And even though why, that question was too much. So I had this inner conflict on one hand, conforming to status quo, to conventions, to traditions, to this is how it has to be done because we have always done it that way. What kind of excuse is that we have always done it that way? Yeah. So
Mm.
it's like, no, this is not who I am. And then this conflict of I want to do it the other way. I want to do it this way. And that was not allowed or was not part of, then you do not belong anymore. So putting you into kind of a mold. And I just could not accept that, never.
Mm.
So that's
Yeah.
why I was disrupting always my path, yeah,
Yeah.
into something new, into
Yeah.
something that you need the courage, you need to be bold, you need to fight others' perception on things or stand up for what you want, not really fighting others, but everyone has his or her idea of how to lead life or how
Mhm.
to go through life, but that's theirs. But doesn't mean
Exactly.
it's necessarily mine. It's not. I have my
Yeah.
own way of doing things. And
Mm.
that's what I always, yeah, followed. And
Yeah.
this is me.
That's,
And
yeah,
then you're losing certain people on the journey. But they were
absolutely.
here in this journey to walk with you hand in hand a certain time. But then it was time to depart because you evolve over time with your
Mhm.
experiences, with your past, with where you want to go. And very often you are not aligned. It served its certain people serve their purpose, and then you need to let go in order to be
Exactly.
open to receive those that are in your sphere, in your energy,
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
the way of how you see life, in having similar purposes. And that is really true. So I have to say that it might be a little interesting what I'm saying right now or questionable, but I was very often testing the universe insofar that if I do this, then actually it supports me, right? There is something that is happening for you. And at the end of the day, I felt like it was always the right thing to do.
Yeah. I love to think that there are so many paths for us and that we can choose if we are aware And
Yeah.
if we are brave, that we can choose. And if we can use our inner wisdom and our intuition to choose with our heart what brings us the most joy, then it's always the right path, because actually every path has positive things for us. And it is about feeling that strength, that inner strength, and that positive intention in your choices.
Yeah. I
And I
remember.
like what you say, that you might find people on your path that only walk with you for a certain time. And sometimes when I hear that, I see other people think, really? Because this is again against our norms of loyalty that especially women have. Like, we have to be loyal, we have to be kind, we have to be friendly, we cannot be confrontational, or we cannot go into a conflict. Well, yes, we can. We can do that with the right intentions and with kindness, but we can say goodbye. Like, we can say goodbye to a job, or we can say goodbye to a place we live, or
Yeah.
a habit that we had and that does not longer serve us. We can also do the same with relationships in a kind way. And
Exactly.
even if we cannot break them, we can at least make sure that they cannot impact us in the way that is not serving us anymore, right?
Yeah.
But that's a
And
very difficult one for many people. So what I would like to know, Brigitte, is you have this path and you're very aware and very conscious, and you are now also working with and supporting other women in leadership and finding their path, and with leadership, self-leadership. So what is it that you feel that makes a difference? If you look back, and I know that you're not where you are supposed to be, because we are constantly evolving, but with what you have learned now, what is like your advice for women who feel like, yes, this is a role model for me, this is something that I want to explore? What are first steps to do this, to break those barriers, to break the boundaries?
okay, so before I go into that, I want to touch base again with two things because I was first saying testing the universe. Yeah. What I meant with that was that when I chose to go with conformity and try to fit in, it was painful and it was short-lived. When I chose to stay true to myself, then I understood that this was the right path because it brought me joy and I was supported in my choice and it has become sustainable. So it always led me to the next thing to do in a positive energy, in a positive way. It set me free. It's breaking the boundaries, is setting you free because then you can be the true, authentic you. And I think that is the most important thing because if you're
Mm,
not doing that, if you're sacrificing your truth, then you will be put into this box and then you take away from your own shine. So that's, I wanted to clarify that. Then the second thing is because you said on your journey and you are not there yet, yeah, going forward, blah, blah. I think that you are exactly where you need to be in every moment of your journey because
mhm,
success is not a straight line. It's a journey, as I said, with my own one. It's a journey with detours. It's a journey with setbacks and learning curves. Yeah. So a setback, okay, what do I need to take away from that? There is something that you need to learn. And that's why you are not there yet. Yeah.
mm,
Every step along the way is necessary for our growth, for our evolution. And when it comes to breaking boundaries, that means you need to embrace that journey, trusting the process and
yeah,
knowing that you are exactly where you need to be at the very moment. You are
mm,
never behind. It took me so long to understand that. Yeah.
mm,
You are on your unique path. Nobody is going that path. It's
yeah,
you, only you. And that path I truly believe is leading you to greatness. So you're always evolving, we're always becoming. It's you are exactly there where you need to be.
Yeah.
I think if you understand that it's beautiful. Because when you are in pain right now, it's where you need to be at this very moment, because there is something to take away, to learn from. It's hard to think like that, yeah, because we feel we are a victim, yeah. But in the mentality of being in this victimhood is not good. We need to reframe, okay? Accepting what is, and then going forward. What can I do, yeah, to make it better? So I think this is one of the first things that I wanted to address. Second, and then we come back to intuition. Trust your intuition. Yeah. It's intuition is always more powerful than listening to the outside world. Yeah. Even when things are unclear, when others tell you what you need to do. I always went with my inner voice at the end of the day, because when I went the other route, this was not sustainable. Yeah. And it made me play small. It made me to force myself into this mold again, which I did not want. Yeah. And I think you also need to have this growth mindset. Yeah. Because if you are someone who likes to be in traditions and on convention, there's nothing wrong with that. It can be a beautiful life. But when you're not made for that, you need to get out of your comfort zone. Then you need to trust your intuition and go with that, run with that, no matter what. Yeah. Because when you do, I know it's risky, but this is always the key to breaking the boundaries if you are a boundary breaker. And then to owning your power, because you will never get into your power if you stay with status quo. If you are putting yourself into that box, yeah, that others tell you to fit in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we play and we live and we breathe who we are with this powerful guide of our inner voice. I think there's also these two voices. Yeah, the one is you have to do this, you have to do that, and you have to fit in. And there's this other voice that is not so loud. Yeah, that is something totally different within. And we only hear it when we are in stillness, and then we come down and we allow ourselves to receive. Yeah. Because we always
Absolutely.
feel stressful, we are hurrying, we need to conform, we need to fit in. But sometimes it's time for stillness. And I think also
Absolutely.
stillness is the power.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. You say so many things that are resonating and that have so many different layers that it is impossible to explore them all in the context of in the context of our talk. But I'm sure that it will open doors and windows and minds and maybe eyes of people listening in. And I
Yeah.
would like to say, when you said you are always exactly where you are, and sometimes it can be hard, but if you are aware that you have a lesson to learn here or that you need this in order to move forward, what I always like to work with is with the concept of comparison. The reason why we are so unhappy sometimes or in a victim role when we are where we are is because we compare ourselves with others.
Yeah.
And as long as we keep comparing ourselves with others, we will not look at where we are and who we are looking at what is around us, which is actually not really relevant. And
Exactly.
then in your second element that you were talking about, comparison is again there, but in a different way. It is comparison in terms of what we have been and where we are now and where we want to be. And that's a very healthy and powerful, and for me, the only way to use comparison, and that is if it is based on ourselves. And that intuition, the voice of intuition and experience that I had it myself, and I see it with many women that not yet have worked on that, is that, like you say, we cannot hear that voice
Mm.
because it's too loud.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the noises that are around us everywhere, especially if you live in a city, but also the noises in our own head and the disconnect that we have with our body because our intuition doesn't live in our head.
Mm.
But that's where we are focusing on because it's so noisy. So stillness, and I would say external stillness and internal stillness for me, indeed, like you say, are the key to access that intuition and go deeper and use your inner compass in order to make decisions and choices. Yeah,
Yeah,
beautiful.
exactly. And as you say, also this external influences, the external judgments that other people
Yeah,
put on us. Yeah. And if we reflect on that, it's actually not us. It's their own fear. It's their own
exact.
insecurities. It's their own, let's say, she's doing, actually, I could do that too, but I'm not bold enough and I'm not courageous and it takes
Yeah.
extra effort. So
Mhm.
it's not on you, it's on them. Yeah, it's their insecurities. And
Mhm.
you define your own path. I think that is so important that we disconnect ourselves from these external judgments, even though it's
Mhm.
within your own family. Yeah, because it's
Absolutely.
very often the key that, for example, I'm coming from a very simple environment and I broke out of that. I I grew beyond that. And so when I feel like I'm judged, I understand it's because it's fear of not understanding my ideas, my way of thinking, where I am with my life. So we also need to understand that.
Yeah.
I think that is important for us. And also, when it comes to making decisions and following our intuition and being our true selves, being authentic, is very strongly connected with our core values that we base our decisions on because it's so much easier. We are always in a decision making situation. Yeah. Every day we have to make the decisions, choices, right? So, what is the right path for me, or what kind of paths the journey? It is the decisions that we make. And I think the kind of right decisions are always the ones that are based on our core values.
Mm.
Assuming that we have core values, because this is part of my personal branding, leadership branding, company branding work that I'm doing. So, one of my first questions is, what are your core values
Mhm.
that you base your decisions on? Yeah, that base your whole idea of being on. It's we are living together as a team, as in your private life, but also as a company. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the shared values that create our culture, whatever setting this is on, whether it's at home or whether it's in the organization or in a broader scope. But what are our shared values? And
Mhm.
for a person, is also true. Yeah, every day you're confronted with decisions, and it makes it so much more easier to base them on that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Look.
I also work on values in families because values are like the key in order to find I would say, an ethical basis for decision making and choices that involve all the stakeholders. And so we have our personal ones, and in corporate, we see them a lot, although we hear them a lot. I don't often see them lived.
That's the
But
problem. Yeah.
also in families, you can have values. In communities, political parties have values, and we all see what happens there when the values are not authentic, or when they're not lived, or when they are interpreted in different ways. I believe that a lot of the pain and the suffering in this world could be resolved if we would have, like you say, shared values that are authentic and sustainable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and not just, as you say, written on a wall. It's something
exactly.
that you really need to share and
Mm.
integrate in everyday life. So, what does integrity mean? Yeah, if integrity is one of our core values, what does empathy mean, for example?
Yeah,
Or what does family mean?
yeah,
This needs to be explained. And how
exactly.
can we action on that? How can we integrate that in our workflows, in how we, the style of how we communicate with each other as a team, with the outside,
Absolutely.
our messaging. So values is the fundament of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you are so right. And yet, it is something that there's a lot of, we write a lot about it and we can read a lot about it, but have we defined them? Have we clarified them? Can we test them? How do they show up? And do we live them? That's a very important one. And do we communicate them? Again, in a way that doesn't become like a system or a structure.
Mhm.
It is there again, it is about finding the values that work for you because your values might not be, we have universal values, but my values might not be yours, or my values might not be identical to the ones of my neighbor or even my family. So it is again very important there to do this with the right, how can I say that? To do this with the right awareness that it is individually. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
beautiful.
and there is one more thing, because that's what is the theme of my journey, is becoming visible. And I think by being invisible, if you're not showing who you are, if you're taking away light, then you're not your true self. And also, along with that, being invisible is also a disservice to the world. If
Absolutely.
you're hiding your light, you're not serving anyone. It's like you're waving in the dark and nobody sees you.
Yeah, you're not like you're not participating or contributing even, although that sounds hard, but it is, if you look at it in a universal uh, picture, that is what it is, right?
And each of us has unique gifts and perspectives and ways of doing things. And there needs to be this diversity in this world. And it
Yes.
needs your voice, it needs your idea, it needs your impact. And I
Mhm.
believe that breaking boundaries means refusing to stay invisible. So you need to, or you get to work on this,
Yeah,
stepping into your light, yeah, and waving in the light, yeah, owning the space you
yeah,
rightfully deserve. And that's what I am learning. That's what I am becoming all the time, because that's my huge challenge, yeah, to allow myself, because your contributions, that's what who you are, what you represent, yeah, the alignment to your inner wisdom that shines to the outside world, yeah, can inspire others. And I'm sure
absolutely.
with what everyone is doing, with their excellence, with their brilliance, with their shine, with their authenticity, yeah, they can change the world. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
absolutely.
if we are all there to change the world just a little bit, that is huge. That it's like we can shift mountains.
I
Yeah.
completely agree. I recently finished a book. It's called It's Your Turn, and it's a script to escape societal boxes and manifest your true greatness. And it is really focused on women because we as women are the ones that are too, I would say sometimes comfortable in the shadow, out of the light, being loyal, being
Yeah.
pleasing, being nice. And there's nothing wrong with that as such. It's such that it cannot be the only thing because we are so much more. And we can offer, like you say, Brigitte, we can offer the world so much more. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in
And I,
terms of offering,
yeah.
I would like to know, is there anything that you would like to offer the audience, people that watch this talk show, that are listening in? Is there anything that you can offer them to have like their first idea of what it is working with you or connecting with you. Is there anything that you would like to bring to the table?
Yeah, I would love to offer a 30-minute discovery call, and whoever wants to do that, I'm happy to guide them through a challenge. They just something that they bring something along that is of a desire or something that they would like to have resolved when it comes to building their personal brains, meaning how you want to be perceived and how you align with your inner values, with your vision that you have going forward. Because it's personal branding is not just shining to the outside world and having a certain perception in the market, but it's reconnecting. It's a lot of work inside. It's aligning who you are with your true self, with your authentic self. And also, and I think that is most important in that work, is also finding your vulnerability, because that's how you connect with others in the world. I'm happy to offer that. And I
Wonderful.
also, if someone is starting on their entrepreneurial journey, I'm strong in guiding my clients on this entrepreneurial branding journey. So I have a free download. You can put that also into the show notes, a checklist that helps you, that gives you a structure of what steps to follow.
Mm.
And I think that would be a great starting point when you are a corporate or an academic. So, because I've worked in academia for a very long time, and people feel invisible very often, or they suddenly feel, this is not what I want for the rest of my life. They're questioning their journey. They want to live a higher purpose. And what is it? So, this is a very practical tool, a very practical guideline to understand, okay, what are my next steps? Because branding, personal branding, and then maybe also building a company brand around that always starts with mindset first. It's really looking inside who you are and then defining that, because that is the foundation of radiating a certain personality, a perspective to the outside world.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for your generosity, Brigitte. And everybody who has listened to what you are sharing here knows that you are not the usual traditional brand identity strategist, that you go a lot deeper, that
Yeah.
there's a lot more layers, and that the outcome and the reward of doing this exercise, of walking this journey, is very powerful and rewarding. And thank you so much for being here, for sharing your wisdom and your expertise and for your generosity. And I'm very sure that we will see more of you, and that by seeing more of you, a lot of people will see more of themselves and be able to shine their light in the world as well, like they deserve. Thank you so much, Brigitte.
Thank you so much, Helena, for having me. It was a pleasure being here today with you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.